screen. Then I have to share my screen. Okay. Thank you, Holy Spirit. So yesterday we began to talk about the guidelines for building effective systems. I don't think I have to go back again to reiterate that which we've discussed so far. That's a long way back, right? But I'll just say this, that we've been talking about creating a personal growth plan, and we've talked about the elements that make for an effective growth plan. The first of the elements we talked about was clarity. It's important that you're clear, you're aware of what needs to change, right? You're aware of what the problem is in your life. And when I say your life, I mean your life holistically, not just your career, your relationship, your mentality, your intellectual capacity, your spirit, soul, and body generally, right? Your emotional intelligence. You have to be aware of what is wrong, and just in case nothing is wrong, then you need to be aware of what opportunities, right, are ahead of you, right, or are present with you, so that you can take advantage of them, right? So the whole idea of clarity, which is the first element of an effective growth plan, is to determine what must change, right? At every point we find ourselves in life, there's always a higher level. We should never get to a point where our growth is pegged. There's always a new level. As long as we live here on earth, God is the only one who is omniscience. God is the only one who is omnipotent. As long as we live here on earth, right, we will still be limited in knowledge, which means there's still vast resources, endless knowledge we can dive into, we can swim in, right, just in search of development. So no matter what level you may have gotten to in any area of your life, you have to know that there's still a better place ahead. You may be enjoying peace in your marriage right now, and it's looking as though there is no challenge at all. Well, it might interest you to know that there's still greater peace ahead. There is still something you can know that will further bring a new dimension of peace to you, like peace like a river, right? You may be thinking you're doing so well in your career right now, and it's looking as though you need nothing else. But I'd like you to know there is still something you can know. There is still something you can do that would change the face of your life, and you'll be amazed at how much liberty, right, and freedom you enjoy in your life. Now, speak of financial freedom. There is something you can know that will establish that freedom you're looking forward to. So, no matter what level we find ourselves in life, whether we are whether we are having problems or not, we have to be aware that there's always a new level to grow into, right? And that's why a growth plan must only compare to your previous self and not somebody else. We talked about that, right? So that's the first element of an effective growth plan that we discussed. Second element of an effective growth plan that we're discussing, which we discussed even into yesterday, is systems and structures, right? It's one thing to know exactly what needs to change and what you need to begin to do immediately, and a different thing altogether to put up a support structure or system that ensures that you do that thing. I try to give us an outlook, right, relative outlook of what that means. For those of you who missed out on that, I encourage you to please go to my YouTube channel, which I've now rebranded to Coach Anslem, to watch all of the clips, right? So we discussed that extensively yesterday, and yesterday we began to talk about guidelines for building effective systems, right? I haven't talked about systems and structures and giving various examples of how these how systems and structures can effect effect changes in our lives. Then I began to give guidelines for building an effective system, right? There are certain things you must put into consideration, certain factors you must put into consideration if you want to build an effective system. And the first of them is what we discussed yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, I think yesterday, right? Is what? Taking the big picture into consideration, taking the big picture into account. And we discussed this extensively. You just have to have a motivating factor, something driving you, right, to pursue growth, something pushing you to pursue after growth, something that is driving you inside to pursue after growth. What are you seeing? What is your growth all about? You can't just be reading for the sake of reading. You can't just be attending conferences for the sake of attending conferences. There has to be something driving you. If there is nothing driving you, then you may get frustrated at the end. As I remarked yesterday, there is nothing more painful, right, than studying, right, for something and not even knowing what you're studying for. This is so important. You're learning, and at the end of the day, you don't even know what you are learning for. We all have to pay attention to the big picture. What is it that you're looking forward to, right, becoming or doing? Right, Jesus, who for the joy that was set before him, right, he endured the cross. He despised the shame, because there was a throne set before him. It was going to be the Savior, the King of the kingdom of heaven. And so for this reason, he endured the cross. He despised the shame. I gave a lot of examples on this yesterday. Right, there are times you have to despise shame and go out of your comfort zone and do things that you naturally would not do, because maybe obviously you're bigger than that, right? But you know the throne that has been set before you, are seeing an opportunity ahead, and so this is what you must do, right? Because of what you are seeing. The big picture would help you design the system to be very effective. You need to have a big picture. You need to have it, right? Where is the system you're designing taking you to? This is so important. I press towards the mark, Apostle Paul said, for the prize of the high calling of God in Christ. Right? I press, and I gave you the story of Muhammad Ali, right? How that he began to train himself to endure punches as much as he could, and that was the strategy, right, that he used to defeat George Foreman, a person, an heavyweight champion who you could not stand for 2 rounds. But Ali was able to endure 7 rounds and still regain the title. Why? Because he saw a big picture. He saw the weakness of George Foreman, and he trained himself to endure, right, just so that he can overcome through the weakness of George Foreman. What are you seeing? Like I was telling you yesterday, look, the reason why I have to pay so much attention on knowledge, on studying and sacrificing pleasure over and again is because I see where I'm going to, and there is not so much time again. I will not allow somebody else come and take this gracious space that God has given me, and so I'm putting the way I take my life seriously now is as though if I make one small mistake, or if I give small room to pleasure, it's as though God will put somebody else there. That's how I think every day now, and so I put so much attention in doing what I am doing. I deny pleasure constantly, just so that I can attain that height on time. So what are you seeing? Carol was talking about how that this relates to something we call vision onboarding, right? And that's very true, that many of us need to onboard our own vision. We are quick to share our visions, things that we want to do, or our new desires, things we want to get done, right? But then we don't take time to onboard. And onboarding in this case will mean reorganizing your life to fit the vision of your life that you are seeing, right? So Muhammad Ali was seeing a weakness in George Foreman, and so he began to reorganize his life to endure as much punches as possible, knowing that enduring more than 2 rounds is a mystery. Now he had to endure as much to a point that he could endure 7 rounds. See the training he had to endure, the rigor, the punishment, self-denial he had to endure, just so that he was able to overcome and regain the title. For him, the title was not even the reward of the belt. The title was being able to defeat, to endure punches as much as he could till he could knock him down. Reorganizing your life. And the Bible speaks of these things. Be ye transformed by renewing your mind. If you want to enter into any new level, it's important you renew your mind. Actualizing vision never begins with actions. It begins with renewal of mind, sitting down and onboarding your own vision, onboarding your own desires, knowing the things that you need to continue doing and the things you need to stop doing, the things you have to endure and the things you have to resist, the things you have to stop. You have to know these things. You have to know these things before you can live that life you want to live. The life you have now, right, was gotten by your present principles, your present knowledge. Now, if you want to get to the life you want next, then you must onboard new principles. That's what we call vision onboarding. But I guess I'll have to teach that. I'll have to teach maybe a little bit of personal vision onboarding. There is leadership vision onboarding, where you now onboard people into your vision to work with you, right? But there's also personal vision onboarding, where we now onboard our own vision, reorganizing our life to become that version of person that will now fit into what we are seeing. A lot of people design a vision board for their life, which is a visual representation of what they desire or what they want to become. They put it in their rooms, in their offices, right? When they see these things, it kind of activates an emotion within them or a vision within them or reminds them of the vision. But you have to know that a vision board is not enough to give you that life. You may continue to see it, but if you do nothing about reorganizing your mindset, your character, yourself as a whole, right, you will not be able to actualize what you see. So a vision board may inspire you, right? It is vision onboarding that actually activates that which you're seeing. So we'll talk about vision onboarding, personal vision onboarding later. But for now, understand that for you to be able to create an effective system, then you must put into consideration the big picture, right? What do you see? What do you see? Where is all of your reading and conference attendance, all of your self-denial of yourself? Where is it taking you? Right? If you don't know where it is taking you, be frustrated. You have to know where the reading is taking you. You have to know where the networking is taking you. This becomes your motivating factor. Right? So that's that. Let's go to the next key, right? An effective system or effective systems, right, must put priorities into consideration. Effective systems are built around priorities, right? A good system, as I wrote here, must both protect and project what matters most. I'd like you to pay attention to this. Is so important. Pay attention to this, please. Right? A good system must protect and project what matters most. It must. I was giving you an instance yesterday that if you're somebody who have assessed yourself and you realize that you really do not contribute value when you're having conversations, and this bothers you a lot. Now you've become aware of this and you know what must change. You know that for you to become more effective in communication, contributing value, then you know that you now have to learn, pay attention to reading, pay attention to learning. Right? Now this is what you now know you have. This is what must now change. And then afterwards you now create a system that allows you or subjects you to reading. Now, while this is important, if you put reading at a time where you no longer have so much energy to read, you still would not be able to experience the change you're looking forward to. And that's why when things are important to you, you must make them a priority in your life. You must protect them and even project them before anything else. This is so important. It's why the first thing I want to do in the morning when I wake up is to read, because I know that once I leave that moment is a moment where I have more attention, right, to things that involves my mind or deep meditation. Once I'm off and I've begun my day fully, it's very hard for me to give full attention to things that will require a great level of creativity and meditation. Many of us live our days very passively, because many things we do during the day are things that have been registered in our mind already. So we just act on them neurologically. It's not as though we are learning something new. And so because I know I have to learn, I pay attention to learning where my brain can actually be active when it comes to creating and producing. And that for me, that's early in the morning, between the hours of 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. Once I become active doing other stuff after 8 a.m., I cannot be active. I cannot fully learn again. Because there will be activities here and there seeking my attention. And so it becomes difficult to learn. So I'll be deceiving myself if I say I will study in the afternoon, or I'll study in the evening when I get back from the office. I tried that once. I told my wife, look, I feel like there's no order in my life. I'm not able to read during in the morning, right? And in the evening, I feel I'm going to be reading in the evening when I get back to the house before Bible study by 9. I tried it for 2 days. I could not. I was feeling sleepy. Right? Good decision to read. Right? But I didn't make it a priority, and so I was using leftover energy. I'll show you some examples or some anecdotes right now, so to give you more clarity. I did not read at a time where I had more energy to comprehend what is written there. Reading, comprehension requires energy. I tell you, comprehension requires energy. It requires your full attention. Is why many people are not learning, is why they are not growing, because they are putting things that require things that will develop them at a time where they have less energy. Comprehension requires energy. Write this down somewhere. If I write this in the chat section, everybody write it there now. Comprehension requires energy. And so it's wisdom to prioritize anything that brings creativity into your life. It is wisdom to prioritize anything that increases or boosts your productivity. Write it there. It's wisdom. It's wisdom. It's wisdom. It's wisdom. It's wisdom. So let's see some very key examples or anecdotes that I tried to put together, right? So look at this. Okay, I already gave an instance of this, right? Knowing that I have to read more, right? Now you know you have to read more. You are clear about that. You know that reading is important to your growth, right? And you genuinely believe this, right? But look, you decide to read late in the night, after you had a long day, or when your eyes are even heavy, when your mind is completely tired, right? You know that when you do this, you know that you will sleep off after reading maybe about 2 pages. How would you grow with 2 pages? And even those 2 pages you read is with a sleepy eye. If they wake you up, you can't remember what you read. Yet you know that reading for you is a priority. You need to read to improve your communication, but you have kept reading in a time where you have less energy. Creating systems, you must put what's important to you in a time where you have energy to comprehend or to do them. Priority must always be put into consideration when it comes to creating effective systems. I tell you. So for such a person, reading only mattered to you in theory, but it wasn't protected in practice. If reading truly mattered most, it will be placed when attention is highest and when strength is lowest. So you're involving less strength and then your attention is full. You have to know this, that priorities don't show in words. They show in timing. They show in timing. They show in timing. They show in timing. Second anecdote, activities that steal your time. Some people may complain, or some people even complain, I don't have time for personal growth. I have somebody, a doctor friend in the US who has told me this. I should just have time, right, for spiritual growth. I asked her, what is your personal growth plan? And she began to tell me how she has planned this, I said, okay, so how about your spiritual growth? She said she doesn't have time. And I know the things she went through in the course of 2025 because of lack of spiritual growth, right? And this is not to scare anybody, by the way, right? You don't have to be scared. This is just between me and her. More reason why I will not go into details, right? So I know what she went through because of lack of spiritual growth. I had to be there to coach her on many things, right? Because she wouldn't grow in those areas. And even though I tried, I sent her books to read, many things, but she just wouldn't create time to read them. I know that the culture of the US is a lot when it comes to walking, but then it's growth we're talking about here. You have to just create it and make priority for it. So I don't have time for personal growth. There are people like that. Maybe some of you are like that before today. Yet, if you check their itinerary or schedule for the day, right? They schedule their meetings anytime. There's no respect for time. No respect for time. A meeting you can hold by 11 a.m. in the morning, you put it by 6 a.m., 7 a.m. Why? But you can still hold it by 11. And there will be no consequence. Right? Non-urgent conversations are given priority in your time. Phone calls you don't. That's when you want to call your mother-in-law 7 a.m. in the morning to say what? Why can't you call? If you didn't call her yesterday, why are you calling her now this early morning when you should just study or have that meeting that needs to be had to discuss on how to advance your business? I keep saying studying. For some of you, it won't have to be a strategic meeting on how to advance your business. Priority. Do you know that if you get to the office, by the time you get to the office, all of your heads are probably blocked already. It's already getting hot because of calls here from clients. So that early hours of the day, before anything is done at all, you sit down with your board, with your team, and you discuss strategy. You'll be amazed what you come out with. When you fill your mind with activities here and there, it will be hard to contribute. It will be hard to contribute. Creative contributions will be scarce in such a meeting. How about marriage? You want to talk about what is happening in the family after a long day. Everybody is stressed. It's after work. You're now sitting down after dinner. Nothing can be heard. Nothing can be said. Because after food, you are already tired, exhausted. You want to go and sleep. So you plan your conversations. Priority. Plan things that are important to you, things that must change. You put them into a priority space of your life, a good timing where you have attention enough to address it. This is how we make our lives fruitful. This is how we command exploit at life. This is so important. So they fix meetings anytime. They have non-urgent conversations, right? They give them priorities, and their personal growth is pushed for later. I'll attend to it later. I'll read later. I'll have that meeting later. We'll have that conversation later. I'll do that course later. You keep saying later. Every time you say later, you're only saying you will do it late. And when the day ends, there's no time left. Although you work hard, yet you're not growing. May you not be that kind of person who works hard, yet you're not growing. So that you will not look back when 2026 ends and realize that, wow, you worked so hard, yet you did not grow. So the same you who ended 2025 now ended 2026, but God forbid for you. It's why you must be intentional about growth. And it's why I'm taking time to teach you, so you can see the things that make an effective system effective. Or a system effective. So the issue for such a person is not time. The issue is priority placement. You have not placed what is important to you in a priority position. If meetings can be moved without any damage or consequence, but your growth cannot be skipped without consequence, then growth deserves the earlier slot. Simple wisdom. What comes first silently declares what matters most in your life. You have to know this. You have to know this. The third anecdote, playing first and taking responsibility later. This is for students and maybe some other categories of people too. So a student says, let me relax first, I'll study later. Then he goes to play games, he goes to scroll through his phones, browsing all the social media platforms, right? Maybe even creating content, He goes to chat with friends, he relaxes a little bit, a little sleep, a little slumber here and there. By the time his later finally comes, his mental strength is gone, his focus is gone, motivation is gone. And so when he picks up a study material to finally engage in a study, the study session is either rushed without really getting any value from it, or he just skips it altogether. So for such a person or such a student, the problem was never laziness. It wasn't that he was lazy. It was just misplaced priority. Misplaced priority. Misplaced priority. Ladies and gentlemen, energy is a resource. Actually, energy is a currency. If it is spent on the optional first, there will be nothing left for the essential. So don't spend your energy on the optional first. Spend first for the essential things in your life, the important things, before you consider the optional. And if there's nothing left for the optional, praise be to God, at least He did the essentials. I'm not saying don't create a balance, but please pay attention when it comes to growing. When it comes to growing, pay attention. Give priority to the essential things of your life. The fourth anecdote. Growing spiritually via leftovers. I think I've talked about this one, right? Many believers say, God is important to me, my spiritual life matters, I want to pray more, I want to do that more, right? But their spiritual activities only happen when nothing else is left to do, right? When their schedules allow it, or when emergencies push them. This is very important for many people. This is what many Christians do. Is when they have bad dreams, they want to go and pray, or they want to go and study the Bible. They will study for 3 days straight. Right? When their job is threatened, then fasting and prayer will now begin. Occasional Christianity or occasional spirituality. Right? So God becomes a filler for them, not a priority. And Jesus Christ addresses very clearly. Matthew 6:33. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. Right? Seek ye first. The first in that scripture does not mean emotionally important, as it were, right? It means structurally positioned. You position God in a place of priority. So you pray not because you feel like it, but because God is priority in your life. You know what your spiritual state and that communion, that fellowship will do to your life holistically. You know what your understanding of scriptures via Bible study will do to your life holistically. And so you put your Bible study time in a very prioritized position where you have energy and attention to really learn, not just to fulfill a religious practice. I hope we are together. Are we together? Are we together? The fifth anecdote. The parent and the child. So a parent says, my family matters to me, but their work gets the best energy, right? Their phones get attention. Even while they are at home, it's phone call from morning till night, right? Talking to those who, of course, sometimes important, but sometimes they abuse those things. And then when you're finally going to have conversations with your family, your children, you do it in a rush where no value is really communicated. So family gets leftovers. This feels so touching, honestly. And over time, what will happen is that the relationship will begin to suffer. Although love existed, and when you see these things, it's not that they didn't actually have love for their family or their children. No, love existed. But the challenge is priority placement. The things you value must be prioritized in the systems you create for your life. That's how your system can be effective. First, you must have a big picture. Know where this is leading you. Then number two, priority. The things that matter most to you must be prioritized. What you give your best energy, your best time, and your best attention to, that is what you truly prioritize. Let me read that again to you. What you give your best energy, what you give your best time, and what you give your best attention to, that is what you truly prioritize. So maybe you should start asking yourself now, what do you give your best energy to? What do you give your best time to? What do you give your best attention to? And what value do they really bring to your life? What measure of growth do they really bring? Revisit your priorities. That's what this means. Revisit them. Revisit them. Some of you dream of your friend just to go and have a gist with your friend all day, yet you are not growing. You're not growing. My friend, come on now, come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Now, why priorities must shape systems? A system that does not protect priorities will, number one, drain energy. Number two, it will create frustration for you. To get you really frustrated. If you don't protect your priorities, your energy will be drained. I tell you. You will get frustrated over and again. Because you'll be trying to do something, you're not able to do it because there's no priority for that thing. And then you begin to feel guilty for not being able to excel or succeed. Because there's no priority. Not because you can't actually do those things, but because you've not put them in priority space. You allow just anything take your space. Just anything. Not everything deserves equal attention. Maybe you should write that one down. Not everything in our lives deserves equal attention. Not everything. I think it was somebody that designed a scale of preference, right? The way you should attend to matters. And he said some things are urgent and important. Some things are urgent but not important. Some things are not urgent but they are important. And there are things that are not urgent right? And they are not important. So you decide which one you need to attend to. So systems exist to defend what matters, not to please everything. You have to defend what matters. I tell you, you have to defend what matters most to you. Otherwise, you will not grow. Anything will take your time. I bought books. With money, I entered the book a store. I bought books. Plenty of books, expensive books. But I began to struggle to read them because activities, I'm busy, I have activities here and the things I have to do, there are many. But I realized that, look, if I continue living like this, I'm not going to grow. I'll end the year the same way I began. I ended last year. And so I began to trade off some things. So even if I don't end up doing some of those things, I really don't mind. And when I say some of those things, I mean sometimes losing money. I mean losing money actually. But I don't mind. I don't mind because I've seen a weightier matter I have to pay attention to. You can't please everything, no, I tell you, you can't. Defend what matters most. Your children, they matter most in your life. Your job, your business, it matters most. Your development matters most. Right? Your health matters. Add to most to it if you can. I don't know how to add it. You can add it by yourself. Right? Your relationship, your marriage, your networks of people, it matters most. Add 3 to that one. Add 3 most. Right? So defend these things because you need to create a system around all of these things that helps you develop in those areas. This is so important. So this is why Jesus said, seek ye first. It did not say seek everything equally. Neither did he say balance everything perfectly. No, you can't balance everything perfectly. Everything should not have perfect balance. No. Balance, yes, but not perfectly. Yes, there should be balance in your life, but not perfectly. Some things are weightier than the others. I tell you. So decide what comes first in your life. That is the whole idea of Matthew 6:33. So men and brethren, ladies and gentlemen, we would stop there today. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Tomorrow there will be no meeting because many of us will be going for our midweek services. So we'll continue on Thursday. Where we touch effective systems. Should include measurement. We are dealing with factors that we should include in to make a system effective. This is so important. Things we must consider to create an effective system. Very important. And we've seen number 1, you must consider the big picture. And number 2, we just spoke about, very important. An effective system must consider priorities. Must consider your priorities. And on Thursday, we'll look at the fact that an effective system must include measurement. Just to give you a little hint, since we will not be meeting tomorrow, a little hint. Imagine that in a football match, there was no goalpost and there was no way to tell who was leading in a competition. Frustration everywhere, I mean. So imagine you're just playing just for playing. There's no way to tell who is winning. There's no way to tell who is a better team. Imagine if all stockbrokers right? Or all investors cannot tell what their ROI is, their return on investment is, right? We probably do not have any business running today because nobody knows if they are making profit or not. So that's why measurement is important. Being able to track your results over time. Being able to track yours, to know if you are growing or not, to know if you're doing better or not. Measurement is important. Measurement is simply tracking. It's a tracking system. So on Thursday, I'll show you, we'll go into details, right? But just to let you know that measurement is actually very key when it comes to creating effective systems. Very key. Very key. Very key. And it's why the kind of system you create must be measurable. You can't say you're going to be reading your books every day, right? That's not measurement, right? But if you say you'll be reading your book, or you finish a book every 2 weeks, that's measurement. Because after 2 weeks, you can ask yourself, look, did I finish any book? That's measurement. That's measurement. So by the end of the year, you can tell how many books you've actually read by counting number of 2 weeks you have in a year. That's measurement. That way you can now measure growth or track if you really grow. And if you did not meet up, right, in any of the processes, you can quickly reprove yourself. Measurement is actually needed to reprove ourselves when we are wrong. Many people do not measure growth. They don't have a system that is measurable, and it's why they can't tell if they are growing or not. They only imagine growth. I imagine I'm growing. I imagine I'm growing because there's no measurement. You must be able to tell if you're growing or not. That's where measurement comes in. So we'll look at that on Thursday, right? We'll look at that in detail. I'll show you some anecdotes, some examples, and then we'll go to the very next key. But are you blessed tonight? Have you received something tonight? Let's close. Have you received something? Glory, glory, glory. Praise God. Let me see the chat section. Yes, we can unmute our mics and talk now. We are done for today. So let's stop. 8 minutes. Let's talk. Unmute your mic. Talk to me. Were you blessed today? What have you learned?
Yes, thank you for the teaching again. Priority placement is actually key to really know what we want to achieve, where we want to grow, because our priorities are mixed all over the place.
Yeah.
I look at myself, sometimes I'm really busy, but at the end of the day, I'm not sure that I've achieved much because I was busy in what should have not been the priority.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you so much for that contribution. I think that actually makes it very clear. I haven't seen a real life. Actually, all of those anecdotes I placed there are real life experiences. You know, over time when you've counseled people, you get to have different challenges, different experiences, and we get to put this together in examples. So that's a real life experience right there. You just heard from Carol. Thank you so much for that, Carol. So let's have 2-3 more people so that we can close quickly. We're not meeting tomorrow, so talk. Good evening, good evening. Please talk to me. Talk. Let's hear you talk. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for this. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, Pastor, we can hear you.
So why is nobody talking?
Yes, coach, we can hear you.
So why are you not talking?
Something.
You want me to call your names one by one?
Hello, Pastor, I'm here.
Then
Really
talk,
good
you're
to
there now. Yeah?
yes, 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 yes. My take today is that one needs to be really organized, prioritize and measure, So these key factors, as a person, they- for me, I need to organize my life and make sure I prioritize what is priority and which enhances where I need to make changes on some things that are very, very important.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so someone else, Chisum, talk to us. I think I saw a comment by Chisum. Comprehension requires energy. Yes. Yes, you guys should talk to me now. Come on, I don't have to call your names. Don't be breaking my heart. These are small, small things. Gift. Who is Gift Idris? I'm seeing that name for the first time. Gift Idris, you can hear me, please unmute your mic and talk to us. Tell us your name, where you're joining from, and if you received something today. The issue is not time, it's priority placement. Work so hard to make it.
Yes, it's me, Gift.
Oh, Gift. Okay, yeah, Gift. Gift. Great.
I I have learned a lot over. I Because I've been too busy lately. I've not been keeping to consistently reading the books I targeted reading. However, I've been taking so those things have been kind of demanding, have been growing. However, but the one that will help me develop personally, aside of corporate growth, I've not been so faithful to it. So I think that measurement you spoke about really hit me. I should be able to,
All right,
use that yardstick. Yes, sir.
that's great. That's great. Thank you. Chisholm says, I work so hard in my career, even the best at work by God's grace, but I need the personal growth to grow outside my career. Okay, that's beautiful. Not everything deserves equal attention. Yes. How would you know what matters if you have different interests, like one or two? Chisholm, how do you mean?
Hello.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Um, I mean, like, if you have different interests, for instance, you're an engineer,
Yeah.
and then you're an engineer, and also you like preaching the gospel, and you're a pastor.
Mm.
So, how will you know which one to prioritize more? An engineer, for instance, you're an engineer that knows about software, you know about AI and stuffs, and you're training people on AI.
Yeah.
And then your interest is also being a pastor. So how will you know they want to prioritize more and they want
Chisholm,
to give
if you're
less?
comparing these particular two you just brought up, then you cannot compare them because one is kingdom assignment and the other is career. If you're comparing maybe singing and engineering, then maybe I would have been able to give an advice. Even singing at some point is still kingdom focused. So maybe we have to think of something else. Maybe what should we think of now? Hairdressing and maybe engineering. Okay, maybe that's better, right? So for those two, what you need to consider, number one, is which of these do you have resources for presently,
Okay.
right? And when I say resources, I don't mean money, right? I mean you have the skill, you have the network, you can immediately begin to work on them without having to go for any extra training. Of course, you can still go for training, of which you should go for training, but right now you are ready to go, you're ready to start working on that, right? Unlike the one you still have to go and learn for. Imagine you want to go and sing, for example, and you don't have a voice, although you have desire to sing, right? You like to write songs, but you don't understand the skill of writing. So that will take you time to go and learn, compared to the one you already have skill, you already have resources to start that one. So you always go for the one you already have resources to start. Do you get the point now?
Yes.
Yeah. While you can now work on building yourself to do the other. but always work on the one you already have resources for, so that the gift and the resources you have, right, doesn't stay dormant while you now build for that one. You may have a challenge transiting through that, because what you already have will be battling with what you're trying to learn. Do you get the idea now?
Yes, sir.
Great.
So what if you have the resources for the both?
If you have resources for both of them, right? If you're
Yeah.
saying if what you're comparing is the pastoral and engineering thing, like I said, those two can be developed at once, right? But if you're trying to develop something that is at this trade, right, a business trade, two business trades, it's not possible to develop both at the same time, right? A jack of all trade, we are told, is master of none. I can be a pastor, a very sound pastor, and still be a very sound engineer, because this is spirituality influencing nature or science.
Okay.
You see, so that is very possible, right? But being a sound engineer, right, and then being somebody who is also, let's see, what can I compare with? What can I compare? Give me something. Give me something. A career. I knew that career part. Should we use medicine? That's too far.
Medicine.
That's too far apart.
A teacher.
That's already impossible. Of course, an engineer can still be a teacher. It's easy because all he has to teach engineering, right? Those two align already. So teaching and engineering, there's alignment there. So if you're talking about doing things that are aligned, that's okay. Teaching and engineering, there's an alignment. You can do both at the same time, because as you're learning more on engineering, right, you can easily teach it. Once you are teaching, you're having more experience in your field of engineering. But if you're trying to compare medicine and engineering, now you want to build both, that's actually not possible. You can build both, but you will never be able to compare your competence with somebody who is focused on one of those two.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, because the reason why I asked this question is because of me. Because
Yeah.
I know I have like a ministry that has to do with like children, which I really love things that has to do with children growth
Yeah.
spiritually. And then my career, I work as a level 3 early years practitioner. So I also work with children
Yeah.
in my career. And in terms of my children ministry, I have my resources. And in terms of my career, I'm also a qualified practitioner. So I'm just asking to know if you have two interests, is it possible to do both of them at the same time?
Oh, hello, ma. You don't have two interests. You only have one interest. Your interest is to build children. Just that you have a face in the kingdom and a face in the world. When the world comes to you, they come to you as an early practitioner. But the kingdom will see you as a woman who raises kingdom children. So it's just one face. I'm a teacher of the gospel, right? That's what I do in the kingdom. Everybody knows me as a teacher of the gospel. But in the kingdom, I'm a coach. I'm a growth coach. Do you get the difference now? So I cannot say I have two different things. I'm just one person, Emeka Anslem. Right? But to the world, they call me growth coach because the world does not understand teacher of the gospel. But they will understand who a growth coach is, and I can relate with them with principles of scriptures without having to mention a single Bible verse. I'm using scriptures to validate my points because I specifically want to coach Christians to become intentional about personal growth. That's why I use scriptures to explain everything I'm explaining to you. Do you get the difference now? But if I'm to go speak to secular settings, I don't have to quote a single Bible verse, yet I'll use scriptures to explain my point. Do you get the idea now? So I don't
Yes.
see you as somebody who is doing two different things. What you're doing, they are tight knit, right? It's just one thing, but has two expressions. One is kingdom, and one is the secular space. Do you get the idea now?
Yes.
So keep building. You have resources for one thing. It's not two things. It's why you have endless supplies, and you're having expertise on both ends. You are the best in your field in what you do at work. You are still very sound in what you do, even for the kingdom. Right, so it's still one thing. Children. That's the similarity between both.
Yeah, but oh, sorry, I'm taking long, but I'm just asking questions.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah. So what if someone that is a Muslim
Yes.
and I'm interested in something that has to do with children, both educational and spiritual. and someone that is a Muslim want to come to my platform to learn something about children, childcare, and parenting,
Yes.
and then the person comes in and starts seeing Jesus
Christian.
Christ, God, Christian stuffs in my platform, won't the
Yes.
person be put off or won't they be upset?
No, you said they came in. Did you invite them?
Not invitation, maybe they're just surfing the net, internet, and looking for solution or looking for answers to something, and they bump into my, let me say, my Facebook page and see like things that has to do with God on my Facebook page and still see childcare stuff on my Facebook page.
Okay, first off, I think you have to be unapologetic about what you stand for and your beliefs, right? However, if you want to build a global brand, right, something you want to be widely acceptable, then you need to have a common ground with for acceptance, right? And that means that you may not have to always present scriptures, right, or your doctrines as the face of what you represent, right? There are organizations that would want to partner with you but would not, because they would think you have a religious bias. And this does not in any way mean that you do not love Jesus and you do not want to promote the doctrines and the principles of the faith, right? It just means that you now want to influence a larger audience, because it is not only Christians that are in this world. We have diverse religions, we have diverse beliefs, right? And so if you want to approach these people and allow your platform to be accessible by them without having to feel insecure in their faith, then you have to find a way to communicate your beliefs, your religious beliefs or your spiritual beliefs, without having to make them feel that what they believe is either substandard or not correct. So it's just a way of saying Jesus without having to say Jesus, right?
Okay.
But then
Yes.
when they now come to your inner circle, when they really want to know the truth, because these people are very inquisitive, they want to really know. They know that all you're sharing with them is just surface level intelligence. A time would come where they really want to now know what it is that is sponsoring the energy and that force that comes from what you do. Then you can now reveal the old truth to them. Okay.
Okay.
So have a brand representation of what you do. Jesus Christ would want this. Like I told you, I'm a personal growth coach. On Facebook, I've changed my name. I don't call myself Pastor Emeka Anslem again. I'm now a personal growth coach, right? But the
Yeah.
principles at which I used to teach what I teach is scripture. And it is clear. So when you come, I'm not telling you whether you're a Muslim or a Christian or a Judah or you practice Judaism. My principle is clear. This Bible we are reading has timeless, boundless principles that can impact lives, right, beyond tradition, beyond religion, right? And it will be wickedness on your own part to not agree. Because when I was teaching, I didn't say this is for Christians alone, it's for everybody, right?
Yeah.
So that's the whole idea, right? So welcoming people into your platform without a religious bias will help you scale even higher than what you're currently doing.
Okay. Okay. Maybe I was overthinking my platform.
No,
Yeah.
don't do that. Don't personalize it. Jesus wants to reach other sheep. Other sheep I have that I must also reach. Even the Muslims too are his sheep, right? The Judaism, they are his sheep. They are all his sheep. So he must create a system and a structure that also accommodates them. Do you get the
Okay.
idea now?
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so I guess we have to close now. Chisum has taken all the space.
Thank
Can
you.
we can I just add something? I want to say, please, I need a clarity. So priorities always changes whenever we have achieved our goal.
Yes,
Uh, am I okay?
of
Okay.
course, yeah.
Okay.
Priorities can always change at any time, right? If you've achieved your goal, then it can change. Okay, so I guess we have to close now, right? Can we close? Where's Carol? Carol, you haven't said a thing today. Carol too. Your son is not here today.
We have two, but I know you're talking about me.
Okay, so I guess we have to close. All right, everyone. Have a good night. See you on Thursday.
Thank you. Good night.
Yeah, good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you, everyone.